This is GFree Radio. Here's your host, Peter Stewart.
Episode 31, I'm Peter Stewart, and this is where we flatten, just level the learning curve of living gluten-free, as we let you know you're not alone in living a G-free life. In this week's show, well, we speak with Ian and Deborah Thackeray. They already run gluten-free baking courses in several towns around the UK. They've now also launched their own gluten-free baking and living e-magazine. Hear all about it and what drove them to create a top quality and free magazine a little bit later on. I've also been talking to Holly Redman. She's been running a gluten-free pop-up restaurant very successfully for the past, nearly a year. And it's gone down so well, she now wants to open a 7-day-a-week free-from restaurant in London. She's got a head full of ideas and plans, but she needs your help. Hear how you could be a part of turning her dream into a reality in a few minutes' time on the programme. As Christmas draws ever closer, we look at how the holidays can be pretty tough emotionally for those on a gluten-free diet, and we bring you some ideas about how you can get through the festive fortnight. We'll give you the details of a new worldwide gluten-free Twitter chat that's being held next week and how you can be a part of it. And as the UK marks Small Business Saturday, we do our own little bit to shout about the little guys who deserve a big break in these tough times. Those two interviews a little bit later on in the programme about the new GFree magazine and also about the pop-up that's going to be a permanent restaurant with your little bit of help. First of all, as the holiday season approaches, well, we've got a few ideas over the next few weeks with a Christmas kind of bent to them, and we're going to be starting off that right here, right now, with this article from Jane Anderson from celiacdisease.about.com, and it's all about how holidays can be tough emotionally on those of us on a gluten-free diet. She says that for many people who have celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, holidays represent a bit of torture. We're faced with seemingly endless spreads of terrific looking goodies, and we're not able to enjoy any of them. At the same time, we've got well-meaning but pretty clueless friends and relatives trying to lure us into trying tidbits that almost certainly are not safe. You've been to those where people say, you can have that, surely it's only breaded ham, there's only a little bit of bread on it, or you can have crisps are potatoes, without necessarily thinking of the flavourings and so on that are also in amongst those potato crisps or the chips there. It'll take some getting used to, of course, when you try and get through the festive fortnight, but you can change your emotional mindset so you're not focused on the food at all, just on the people and the celebration. Here are 5 thoughts and ideas that may help you cope.
1.
It's okay to feel sad. Of course, food is a big part of all our lives. It plays an even larger role around the holidays, what with Thanksgiving, and we've got bonfire night, haven't we, and Halloween, and then not long after that we've got New Year and Christmas all amongst in it as well. But when you're faced with yet another holiday spread with nothing on it that's gluten-free, sadness is a perfectly normal emotion. So, the suggestion is acknowledge the feeling, but don't dwell on it. Or worse yet, wallow in it. Instead, promise yourself a safe treat at the earliest possible opportunity. Focus instead on the people you are there to meet, rather than the food you're there not to eat.
2.
Don't be tempted into taking unnecessary chances. Cheating on the gluten-free diet, let's be honest, is not really an option. It's certainly not for me. I know the symptoms. I know what is likely to happen to me if I have the smallest bit of gluten. You may be fortunate enough not to get severe symptoms from gluten ingestion, but of course you do still run the risk of damaging your health. It's easy to talk yourself into taking risks you wouldn't normally take, especially if you've had 1 or 2 glasses of the cold bubbly stuff at a party. We know already, don't we, about the dangers of drink driving. What about of drink eating as well. Don't do it. You'll regret it in the morning.
3,
Remember, your friends or relatives are uneducated rather than unfeeling. It's easy to feel excluded at a holiday gathering where no one's bothered to provide anything for you to munch on. Heck, have you ever been to somewhere and they've asked you in advance, what can we provide? And you've said, no, it's fine, honestly, don't go to any trouble. And so they haven't. And yet you still feel excluded and angry, or certainly a little bit cross or mad. It's unfair on your hosts, it's irrational for you, but it still happens and you still get those emotions. So the idea is acknowledge the emotions and try to move past them. You're there to see the people, as I say, not to eat.
4,
Don't get judgmental and try to keep quiet about other people's gluten issues. It's another big one. Do you sometimes get really annoyed when you watch people gorging themselves on gluten foods when it's clear that they've got health issues that may be down to eating too much gluten, and you want to go up to them and you want to say a few words and say, you know what, you may find it better if you don't have that huge slice of pizza or the sausage roll or gorge on the vol au vents and the sandwiches and so on. It's difficult very often not to say anything because, after all, if they're your friends, your relatives, you care about them. But nagging people to get tested or going gluten-free doesn't usually help. And in some cases it may really upset them. It may alienate them. It may pee them off. I guess the answer is to say something once, maybe a gentle suggestion. After all, you've got a conscience as well. You do feel as though you should be saying something, but after that, I guess, shut up. You've passed on the idea. You know that they know you're gluten-free. You know that they can come to you if they want some more advice. But until then, it's just a matter of planting the seed, isn't it?
5,
If at all possible, host your own holiday gathering and make sure everything is gluten-free for everyone. It's probably the best answer, isn't it? You can socialise and not worry one bit about the food because you made it all and you know it's all safely gluten-free. And also, of course, it's pretty difficult to feel excluded since everything at the party is safe for you to eat and it's happening round at your place. It's a lot of work, but it's probably worth it. And make sure that you have a happy and safe and G-free Christmas and New Year. GFree Radio, where all of our episodes are always archived and they're always available and they're always free. Right here, if you want to know exactly where here is, well, we're available on YouTube and we're available on iTunes and we're available via gfreeradio.com. Hello, I'm Peter Stewart, the first of our 2 interviews this week, and it is a trial, isn't it? Indeed, more than that, it's a gluten roulette when you eat out at a restaurant. If only there was a place where you could go out to eat that was guaranteed to be gluten-free. Oh, and okay for those on a paleo diet as well. Well, that's the dream of Holly Redmond. She's a chef and nutritional therapist and founder of the Pure Taste pop-up restaurants. She's been fully gluten-free for nearly 3 years. And now she wants your help to make her dream of having a permanent restaurant in London, England, a reality. I caught up with her the other day.
At university I did chemistry, and the bits of chemistry I always found interesting were the bits that related to people and food. So from there, the sort of next logical step really was nutrition. I knew I didn't want to work in a lab, so I went to see whether I could sort of study part-time while I finished my degree to do nutrition. So I did the 2 courses together, and then when I graduated I worked part-time for a supplement company doing practitioner education and part-time as a private therapist seeing clients, which I really enjoyed, but I've always loved cooking more. So a year and a half ago I got the opportunity to take voluntary redundancy, and I used the money to pay for an intensive cookery course. I'd already been volunteering in a local restaurant to get a bit of experience, and once I was qualified they gave me a role part-time, and it all sort of kicked off from there, really.
So it all kind of fell together, didn't it, by the sound of it?
I think things do. When it's what you love doing, when you're really passionate about something, I think somehow the universe sort of conspires and it all falls into place for you.
And this is a restaurant, a town or so away? It's not far to commute, is it?
No, it's just down the road from me. So
yeah.
It's Jeremy's restaurant in Board Hill Gardens.
That's in West Sussex?
Yep, it is indeed in West Sussex. And while I was working there, some of my gluten-free recipes, if you like, were rubbing off on them. And we decided October, over a year ago now, to do a gluten and dairy-free night together. So I helped them plan a menu, and we were fully booked for the evening and everyone really enjoyed it. And from that, the guys that I work in the kitchen with kept sort of saying to me, you should do a pop-up. And I really wanted to, but I wasn't sure how to go about it. And I managed to persuade Jeremy that he'd let me do it at his restaurant just once a month on a Tuesday when they were quite quiet. So in February, I set up Pure Taste Pop-Up. And what I do is I do all the sort of preparations of the things that can be prepared ahead at home. And then on the third Tuesday of the month, I go into the restaurant, I pay the staff to work for me for the night, and we do an exclusively gluten-free menu. And quite a lot of our dishes are also dairy-free, grain-free and sugar-free as well, so suitable for people on a paleo diet or with other allergies or specialist needs. OK, so let's kind of skip forward to what it is that you want to do now. You want to make this permanent, don't you, instead of just once a month? Yeah, we've done the pop-up for 10 months. And it's been wonderful, but I haven't got the opportunity to do it again for December because they've got Christmas bookings. And it's been fully booked every night and everyone's loved it, and I've so enjoyed doing it that I really want to make it a permanent restaurant. So I'd like to move the whole thing up to London, get a proper premises and run it 7 days a week.
Well, that is a huge step. I mean, you've made some big steps already, but this is a huge step, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're doing the crowdsource funding, and how does that work?
Okay, so I've put the project on Kickstarter, and like most crowdsource funding, it's all or nothing. So what people can do is they can pledge anything from £1 up to any amount of money they like. The more money they pledge, the more rewards that are available to them. So it's things like a copy of a cookbook or a meal for two, right up to a personalised supper club with your own menu and drinks to go with, or exclusive use of the venue. And the reason it's all or nothing is that if I meet my target, obviously I'll be able to open the restaurant and fulfil the rewards. Whereas if I don't meet my target, then I wouldn't be able to do that and nobody's money's taken.
OK, but can you then apply again, as it were? Can you run the whole idea for a second time?
Yes, I can do. So if it fails, I can relaunch it, but then everyone that's already pledged their money would have to do exactly the same all over again. And it will also delay the project quite significantly because it's a 30-day window.
OK, now you have a cut-off date that you've got to reach this amount by, don't you? When is that?
It will be in the morning, about 9 o'clock in the morning on the 22nd of December. So my hope is that people will book all of these wonderful things as Christmas presents, and they'll know by the 22nd December in the morning whether or not it's come off and we've met the target. And if not, they've still got 3 shopping days to sort out something else.
So as we're speaking on the 2nd of December, how far are you into your target? How close are you?
I'm about a hair's breadth away from £12,000 at the moment. So sort of days to money ratio, I'm about on target. But obviously with any of these things, the pledging drops a little bit in the middle. So we really need people to dig deep and spread the word and help me out to get the numbers up for the next few weeks. OK, well, let's sell it. Why is this restaurant in London going to be different from what kind of restaurants people have experienced before? Well, there's just nothing in the UK where if you have a specialist diet, you can go to eat and not have to ask 1,000,001 questions about the menu, and you don't have to feel awkward. Everything on my menus is designed so that people can eat it rather than that they can't. And even if people have got extra additional needs, as long as we know in advance, 99 times out of 100 we can cater for them, and they can come and have an amazing meal with the people that they love and feel safe and go away feeling satisfied and like they've had a full meal, not like they've had half of it taken off their plate.
Okay, so tempt us with some of the recipes that you've been running recently.
So for November, we did venison loin and a venison meatball in like a red wine and blackcurrant sauce, and that was with a celeriac puree and sautéed kale. That was a very popular dish. We also did scallops with an apple puree and beetroot caviar and smoked almonds. We've done like a rustic Italian soup with pulled ham hock on the top and basil oil. Over the summer we were doing all sorts of things like chilled almond soups with pretty summer flowers in them. All sorts of different kinds of salad like chicory, walnut and pecorino. We've even done burgers in proper buns. We do proper gluten-free focaccia that actually tastes like real bread, and handmade pastas, the stuffed kind, the ones you can't buy in the shop, that actually taste like real pasta.
And what kind of reaction have you got when you've said what you want to do, open up this restaurant in London? People have said to you, what?
People are amazed and they're really excited about it. I mean, obviously I've got my existing customer base that are just really pleased that it's going to continue, but the people that didn't know about it, everyone's getting in contact. They're saying what a fantastic idea this is. They can't wait to come.
And so what's the website address? How do they get more information?
They need to go on to kickstarter.com, and on the little search bar at the top, if they put in the words gluten-free, then it'll come up, and it's the one with the picture of the frangipane tart.
Holly Redmond there on GFree Radio, and it's episode 31. And between now and Christmas, we're going to be looking at various different aspects of living gluten-free over the Christmas and New Year period, and also over those couple of weeks, over the festive fortnight, as I say, we're going to be having a couple of very special programmes. Yeah, we are the world's only weekly GFree radio show. That's why we call ourselves GFree Radio. We secured the name because that's what we do. We do what it says on the tin. So more details about our special programmes over Christmas and New Year as the next couple of weeks unfold. Now, next Wednesday, December the 11th, there's going to be a special Twitter chat on the gluten-free diet. They're going to be discussing a range of topics, from who needs the gluten-free diet to how common celiac disease is, to adjusting to a gluten-free lifestyle. There's going to be all sorts of leading experts, including a friend of the show, Jules Dowler-Shepherd, who we spoke to a couple of months ago, and several other people as well from various clinics and associations and foundations and so on. So as I say, a live Twitter chat on the gluten-free diet. You can join in the conversation by using the hashtag GlutenChats, and it's going to be Wednesday, December the 11th at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And as I say, it's probably something that you want to get involved with, or certainly have a little look at. Now, you don't have to be signed up to Twitter to have a look and see what the conversation is all about and to follow the conversation. The hashtag again, GlutenChat. It's on Wednesday, December the 11th. It's based on US time, Eastern Standard Time, which is 2 p.m. And that means for GMT, for the United Kingdom, that's a very, very convenient 7 o'clock at night, which is absolutely perfect. Second of our two interviews this week, and I caught up with Ian and Deborah Thackeray. Now, they've just started a new e-magazine about living and baking gluten-free, and the magazine is free. Issue number 1 included, oh boy, get this, recipes for soda bread, fruit tarts, breakfast muffins, and hokey pokey biscuits.
I'd been teaching gluten-free baking for quite a few months when I realised that I would never be in the courses be able to cover all the things that anybody would ever want to bake, and that there was scope for more recipes and also for more informative articles, the stuff that I have learnt about celiac disease in particular, but non-celiac gluten sensitivity, I could share that information in a magazine.
And what's your background then for wanting to get into the GFree world, the GFree business?
I was recently diagnosed with celiac disease back Christmas 2013, And it was that really that prompted us to look much more closely at what was available, because I had to do the whole diet thing. So that tied in with Deborah's nutritional medicine practice, where her clients were starting to ask her for more than just recipe tips and ideas to develop their own diet sheets, prompted the whole thing.
So Ian, I'm interested to hear from you as a recently diagnosed celiac about what your thoughts were, and the thoughts of Deborah as a nutritionist as well, looking at this market for perhaps the first time. When you went along to your local supermarket or you looked at the online stores and you saw what was available, what was your first thought about the range, about the quality, about the nutritional value of the range on offer?
We were quite disappointed on seeing for the first time what was available. I found it very sweet, additive heavy, and really just a poor imitation of what's already a poor quality product in the first place. If a wheat-based processed food, we don't need more of those. Thank you very much.
And what were your thoughts, Deborah? Because obviously you've got that background of being able to look in a little bit more depth, perhaps an insight into the ingredients panel and that nutrition list.
I spend most of my working life trying to encourage people to eat a really healthy diet with a lot of fruit and vegetables in, and to base that on food mostly that they cook themselves, because on the whole, that's going to be better for you than bought ready meals, say, or biscuits. We also, I agree with Ian. I found everything really sweet. I mean, I love cake, but some of the offerings were incredibly sweet, almost inedible. So I've been working on recipes that have all the flavour that you want, really, but have much better nutritional profiles than a lot of bought things. I use some quite unusual grains, say, in my breads, to help the nutritional side of them.
So let's move on to the magazine itself. You decided that you would pull together some of those recipes and some of the other background information that you've collected over the last few months and put it all in one place. Why not just go online and do this? Why the magazine?
I wanted something that looked like a consumer magazine. I'd look at the weekend supplements and think, why haven't we got something like that for our own particular group? So when we started looking at what was available, we found in the UK that there just wasn't anything like that. And worldwide, there are some in the States, probably about 6. But even then, they don't really fit the UK market. And one of the other things that really stands out to me is that they've got a really different set of problems. We share the same disorder or disease, but so for example, the 20 parts per million issue in the UK and Europe, that's been long the standard definition of what's gluten-free. That's only just arriving in the States. So it's not surprising that people who think they're on gluten-free diets in the States are clearly not, because they've only just got this 20 parts per million definition of what's gluten-free.
Also, there seems to be a much wider movement in the United States for people who are choosing to go gluten-free, isn't there?
Yes, and I think that's attracting some sort of negative associations, because if people think that being celiac is a lifestyle choice, they're very misinformed. And I've seen quite a lot of stuff recently, both published in the States and here, grumbling about these people who think they're gluten-free. And of course, if you are genuinely celiac or very sensitive to gluten, being made to feel like you're just opting into this because you feel like it is really annoying.
And also, I think it can cause problems perhaps at a restaurant where people who have chosen to go gluten-free will accept and, in fact, not know if there's a little bit of cross-contamination. The restaurant is falsely reassured they're doing everything right until a real-life celiac comes in and then hits upon a problem.
Quite. I think that is an issue. Yeah. So we also, with the magazine, we wanted it to look really beautiful too. I mean, you're right, there's a lot of online content out there, stuff for free and stuff you have to pay for. But it doesn't a lot of it does have this sort of sheen of looking professional and beautiful. And that's what we really wanted.
So is your background, Ian, perhaps in design or marketing or something like that? Because it does look very professional. Or were you able to invest in a product, a program that helps you design the magazine and the look and the feel and the photographs and the layout?
Our background is Deborah has got a sort of 20-year plus history in interior design. And specialist decorating, and I've got a background for the last 13 years in sort of kitchen design, and we're very use colour a lot in that work in that line. We were lucky to find a guy called Joe Dodsworth up here in Yorkshire as a 17-year-old who was a fantastic photographer then, and is an even better one now. So it's a combination of things really. Being a user of good quality magazines and having some sense of what colour should be and what pictures should be, I guess.
And what's your business model? Because this is for free, isn't it? And yet you're putting an awful lot of time and effort into it, and you're giving away a lot of information for free with the recipes and so on. You've done a few interviews, you've written several articles and so on. What's your thinking behind that? How are you making it work for you personally, as a family, as a business?
The model is based very firmly on the original baking courses. They are the bedrock of who and what we are. They're where we meet real people and teach them real things. And the magazine is there to support that process.
So it's an introduction. So by offering this item for free, then you're hoping to publicise and get some more business through the courses and so on.
Indeed, and with the launch of the online baking courses, what we've termed our masterclasses, where people can come and experience the baking course for themselves, but at home. The magazine is an important way of promoting that product. And in the long term, one of the ideas is very much to make the magazine a place for small regional manufacturers, service providers, your local butcher, who just, would be great to be able to put somewhere up there online saying that you can get GF sausages at XYZ in Knaresborough or Boroughbridge or Preston or whatever.
Okay, well, we're going to be talking, I know, about the courses in another programme in 2014. But for the moment, just tell us what's in the December issue, the Christmas New Year edition of the magazine.
Well, what's in that is some absolutely lovely cakes that would also make desserts for around Christmas time. So there's an orange and almond cake, there's a chestnut meringue gatto, there's more savoury things like a pumpkin scone, there's a fantastic fruit cake, which is what you want in the autumn, served in the traditional Yorkshire way with a slab of Wensleydale. I've written an article on why the health of your gut bacteria matters in your recovery from a diagnosis of celiac disease. And we've got a number of other articles. There's a second part of a series from Nina Morton, who wrote an article about her particular health challenges in the first issue. She's writing for us again in the second issue.
We've linked up with a blogger from New Zealand, Samantha, who has done a very in-depth research into how to make gluten-free sourdough. So that's in there, and that's linked in turn to Deborah's article about the importance of gut bacteria and how you treat it. The headline piece, the headline consumer article, is called Field to Plate, and we've gone to a local butcher here in Harrogate and asked him to talk to us about how he gets his meat from up the Dale and how that gets processed through to his butchery shop onto the plates here in North Yorkshire, and to give people an idea of what good quality meat should be. Because one day walking around to the butchers, I suddenly realised, actually, meat, fish, poultry, cheese, dairy, they're the biggest GF things going, biggest GF things in any shop, and we should be eating more of them, along with the vegetables and fruit.
Absolutely, and it always helps to know that you're supporting local producers and the provenance of the food that you're eating as well.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very important to us. We've been fortunate to meet quite a lot of small-scale local producers at the celiac food fairs that we go to, and it's just lovely to meet other people who have the same sort of ethos about food that we do.
Okay, so how can people get hold of the magazine? It's an online edition, isn't it? They're not going to get it if they go into WH Smith's.
No, it's just available online, although you can read it in many formats on your computer, iPad, etc., phone, you name it.
We go to the website. www.glutenfreebaking.co.uk, and you can link through from there.
Ian and Deborah Thackeray on GFree Radio. So it is the UK Small Business Weekend, this particular weekend of the 7th of December. And that's really interesting stuff. If you want to follow them, they are at SmallBizSat on Twitter. That's the Twitter hashtag, SmallBizSaturday. And it's a way to promote the various small businesses across the UK. And of course, there are many and varied small businesses in the GFree sector. So we're really pleased always to give them a particular plug. So we're particularly pleased this week to be able to say hello to Soft Sage. Now, Soft Sage make Brazilian gluten-free dough balls with a bit of a British twist. They're available from Hampstead Indoor Market in London each Saturday. You can get them fresh or frozen, and you can follow them on Twitter at Soft Sage. And also, you can know a little bit more about them at softsage.co.uk. So they're dough balls with a British twist, suitable for celiacs, veggies and vegans. And they're at 78 Hampstead High Street Market, NW3 1RE, on Saturdays between 11 and 6, softsage.co.uk. And it being GFree Radio, we're always keen, whatever weekend happens to be marked, whether it's Small Business Saturday or not, we're always really, really keen to promote the small gluten-free businesses across the UK and around the world. So just drop us your details, gfreeradio@hotmail.com, or on Twitter at GFree Radio. And also, because we're coming up to Christmas, let's pop this in as well. Really Truly Gluten Free is a new website selling luxury gluten-free gifts. Launched back in October, this exciting new company is passionate about sourcing delicious gluten-free foods and bringing them together to create gifts that look and taste fantastic. Each gift is hand-packed in a jute bag, wrapped with ribbon and a personal gift message attached. And a recent blog review commented, "If you've ever had difficulty finding a special gift for a celiac, this website will be your new best friend." So with Christmas just around the corner now is the perfect time to visit reallytrulyglutenfree.com. And that message came from Jackie Barry. Again, if you've got a business that you want to be promoted or mentioned, then give us drop us a line, I should say. Give us a call. I'm not going to give out my private phone number unless you are young, free and single, in which case it's 07747 what. No, apparently I shouldn't really be doing that. Okay. gfreeradio@hotmail.com is the place where you need to find us. So, what is coming up in next week's programme? Well, we're going to continue with our theme, our gluten-free Christmas theme, and we're going to be looking at a gluten-free Christmas cookbook and also some gluten-free beers as well. That's next week on GFree Radio.
And that was the GFree Radio Show with Peter Stewart. And you. Thanks for listening. And remember, until next time, be good, be healthy, and be GFree.